Hi, this is Iris, and welcome to Parapopulous. Today's episode, Creepy Cabinet. So, this is a story based on an article that was found in reveal.co.uk. And its original title was Antique Shop Staff Haunted by Girl Ghosts Trapped in Satanic Wardrobe. I mean, that's a mouthful in itself. All right, well, the short version of this is there's a creepy yet very beautiful wooden wardrobe that was bought for the low price at that point of £350. And it has been residing in the Olden Ewe shop in Devon ever since it's been purchased, and customers and staff are a little leery of it, I guess. I mean, things have been going on around it. Supposedly the doors will swing open on their own, and it will unlock itself, and apparently there's a cold draft around it, and that, they've been not able to shut the doors because it feels like somebody's holding them open from the inside. Now, I mean, the thing is they say there's a satanic head carved in its door. Now, I mean, let's just tackle this one straight on. A satanic head is probably a goat or a green man or something very, 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 very not at all bad. A member of the staff there thinks that it came off of something else and got put onto it. But, I mean, whatever the case is, honestly, it's probably not at all satanic. It's probably, like I said, a green man or a ram's head or something that, maybe a little bit odd to us nowadays, but, back in the day, probably wasn't anything, or a stag's head even. Maybe that was like for a man and it was his, to say that it was his wardrobe. There was a stag, and on the females there was, I don't know, something pretty. I don't know. Anyways, I digress. So, I mean, I will say it's probably a little creepy, the doors opening or unlocking by themselves, because, I mean, let's face it, it's locked. It probably shouldn't unlock on its own. The door is not wanting to close. Well, I mean, that could be moisture, that could be just humidity in the day. But, I mean, if there's a distinct force as opposed to, the feeling when you're trying to close a door that's like warped because it's gotten too humid or something. There's a different kind of feel to that, to somebody trying to hold you from closing a door. So I don't know. I don't know. Now, I mean, we've heard about, there's this presence supposedly of this little girl, and some customers have seen it, and some other people have just felt it. And I mean, we've heard about children being locked in cabinets years ago, or just horrible things like that. I mean, normally they were illegitimate kids or kids of the servants in the house, or just something. It's just a bad day, some of them it seems like. But so I mean, that does kind of add credence to the whole girl in the wardrobe holding it open, doesn't want the door locked because she's tired of being trapped in there. The coolness, I mean, is it under draft? Probably not. I think they would notice that. I mean, I'm trying to find you an explanation. I just, other than air conditioning or wind flow, I really can't. So what this does come down to, besides the fact apparently is my favorite word, it comes down to something I heard a while ago about buying things secondhand, be they antiques proper or be they, things just from the thrift shop, like a shirt or something that somebody's outgrown, or, an old purse or a picture because they're redecorating. I mean, we all assume that's why people get rid of things. Somebody gave it to me as a gift. I don't like it. You know, it's not the right size. It doesn't go with my decor anymore. Whatever. But you have to think about this in another way. Is there a reason that they got rid of it? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you hear about things that take on personalities of their own. You hear of things that have distinct energies around them, be they good or bad. I mean, for somebody, it would be not welcome to have something in the house even with good energy. But I mean, some of these things, not so good energy. I mean, if you've heard of John Zaffis and his museum, he has a whole museum of pieces that have been given to him to hang on to because people didn't or couldn't have them in their houses. They didn't want them in their houses anymore because they were causing too much trouble. I hear Zach Baggins of Ghost Adventures has now decided he's going to open up his own haunted thing museum too. You know what? Credit to him. That's a whole other podcast. Listen, yeah, let's leave that there. I mean, they got to go somewhere, and better that they go to people who actually do know that there's an issue with these things than, you know, to a thrift shop or, you know, a garage sale or a yard sale and some bystander not knowing it and bringing it home. And, I mean, there's lots of examples of dolls and paintings and mirrors and, I mean, I'm sure pretty much everything. And it's just better that they do go to a place where it's known. Now, here's the thing, though. I mean, it doesn't have to be old necessarily, but in my mind, the older something is, be it a piece of land that's been inhabited, or, I mean, obviously a structure like a house, or an item like a wardrobe. I mean, the longer it's existed, the more energies it's been around, the more energies it's been subjected to. And, I mean, just that energy residue on things could be enough to kind of keep a vibe there. Let's call it that for sake of a better explanation. Or to hold an energy, like a lot of stone or crystal will resonate. It'll hold an energy, and just, not that it's an active thing, but it just replays it like it's a recording, because it's just been ingrained into the rock or into the crystal. Now, wood being natural, maybe it would do that as well. I don't know as strongly, because, I mean, it would absorb it, but, I mean, obviously there is the possibility just of a resonance of a strong energy being attached to this, and it just replays and replays and replays, and there's no rhyme or reason. There's also the possibility it is just humidity. It is just a draft. It is just people's imagination running away with them because they see a goat's head on the front of it. I mean, why are we, like, it's a goat, or it's called a satanic head. I haven't been able to see an actual picture of this thing, just the description. So I can't tell you if it's a goat, if it's, I'm leaning towards an older piece of furniture. It's an animal because that was either something to do with the family or a crest, or just to designate it as being a gentleman's instead of a lady's. Maybe the person was a farmer and they put a goat's head on there because they were a farmer. I don't know. But, there's a whole bunch of things that would tell me, yes, satanic head. There would be some, some other things that would identify it. But, nowadays it's a goat's head, and it's got to be Satan. Wow, Satan. How your image is starting to just kind of downgrade. Go ahead, Satan. Go ahead, Satan. Seriously, poor goats. Anyways. And I actually don't know if it is a goat's head, so let me just clear that up, because all it does say is satanic head. So, maybe there are, whole other things to go with it to sort of say that. But anyways. So, just looking at that, at the thing of the longer something's around, the more energy it absorbs, the more things it sees, and I mean, there's just bound to be energy associated with it, whether it is activist energy or it is just repetitive energy, and the fact that it's just been ingrained into the object, in this case, the wardrobe. It's disturbing to think child ghost locked in a wardrobe. But then if you come down to it, I mean, historically, not that far-fetched, first of all, child locked in the wardrobe, not child ghost, although probably there's a few of those, depending on, what castle you look in. But anyways. But, I mean, here's also the thing. If this is a satanic head, that may not be a child. Just FYI. Sometimes the things that you think are communicating to you are not actually the things you think are communicating to you. Because, I mean, they could be. So it could be, Great Aunt Dora. But it could also be somebody who's playing on you, or something. Let me correct that. Something that is playing on you because it knows you want this communication, this interaction, and they know it and they can sense it. And there are some things that have never been human, and there are some that have, and they're just nasty anyways. But I mean, let's say this is the whole satanic head. Is it? I mean, what is it with this wardrobe then? I mean, that does bring on a whole other thing. Is this honestly, a little girl ghost who likes to play pranks, or maybe she is malicious because, hey, you know what? I've been locked in a wardrobe for like 400 years or however old this thing is. Like, I'm a little bit pissed. Or is this something else entirely? Sort of trying to get people believing it's a little girl and letting their guard down and becoming a little too involved with it. I mean, that's the thing you have to think about. And I'm not just saying this, you guys leave the good stuff. But I'm just saying, you have to pay attention to the vibe you get off something. And someone. I mean, this applies to people, objects, places, everything. There are just some things you get a vibe off of. And not everybody can, and not everybody who has abilities can do that either. I mean, everybody has different abilities. Some people just ignore it. But you can't tell me that there haven't been times when you haven't had a feeling. And I know we've kind of wandered off on this one, but bear with me. When you're out looking at these things that are secondhand, it might be beautiful, and I'm not saying don't get it. I'm saying if you get this weird vibe off of something, or even if you don't, before you bring some of these older pieces or another piece into your house, especially something like a mirror or a box. I'm not going to mention said box, but I think those of you in this community know what I mean. A doll. Dolls are big, gang. I don't know if you realize how big dolls are for things one to live in them. Maybe just cleanse it. Maybe just clear it before you bring it into your house. Just as a safety thing, instead of bringing it into your house, then you got to kick it out of your house, then you got to seal off the house, you got to seal off the item and seal off the house, and it's a whole yada yada yada. Maybe before you actually even bring it into your house. Just kind of, do a little smudging or something, just to kind of, hey, if you're in here and you're not good, GTFO. And if you are good, sure, you know what, come on in. Yeah, I mean, I understand people who say, well, that's not right. People are just trying to keep them there for their entertainment. Listen, who am I to say to this person that if they don't want to go to the light and they're a good person and they're not going to do nasty things or harmful things, or malicious things, you guys know what I mean by this. Who am I to tell them they don't know any better? If you want to live in that damn mirror for the rest of your life, or existence, or eternity, or however we want to phrase this, I ain't gonna kick you out as long as you are not gonna do some nasty shit to me. You're grown, you understand the reality of it by now, I would think, and if you don't want to go, I'm not gonna kick you. But that being said, if y'all are nasty ass spirits and you want to try to come in my house, you get an eviction notice. But on that note, like, seriously, there might be a reason why that thing that is so magnificent is in that thrift shop or in that secondhand store, or they're trying to sell it at the yard sale. Just buyer beware. Oh, and on that note, boo. We'll be back in a few. Happy shopping. Or not.